Hi guys, welcome back to Formula 1 drama. Going into the 2023 season, Lewis Hamilton has suggested that one of himself or Max Verstappen might need to change their driving style in wheel-to-wheel racing so that the collisions they've had the last couple of seasons reduce in quantity going forwards, but he doesn't reckon that one of those parties will do anything about it. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. First of all, big news of the day, China is gone from the calendar. This has been known, it's been an open secret for weeks. Like, I don't know what's going on in China right now, to be honest, but yeah, you just can't host anything because it's just like policies and all this type of stuff. It's an absolute mess. But anyway, China, it's been known that it's not going to happen and now it's cancelled. Now, what this means, if you look at the calendar, there's basically a month gap between Australia, the 3rd round, and Azerbaijan, Baku, the 4th round. Now, they will probably replace this time. That is what we believe will be the case at the moment. This was confirmed officially by Formula 1 this morning that, yeah, the Chinese Grand Prix will not take place in 2023, and that is now a done deal. Now, will it be replaced? Where will it be replaced? I guess we'll see, as Philip Orton says. Basically a 4-week gap between those two Grand Prix. Probably not going to happen, therefore we're looking for a replacement. Portimao is the big one in Portugal that we looked at yesterday. That is apparently the favourites that, well, Portimao is going to be replacing the Chinese Grand Prix on that weekend. What was it? The weekend of the 16th of April. There are some other alternatives, of course. Some people want Turkey back. That I think would be pretty cool to see. The Istanbul Grand Prix, of course, we haven't had that in quite some time. There's some other options as well. Like, I even voted Kyalami here in this poll from Riccardo Otmir. He's considering Sepang or Istanbul. Hockenheim as well, I'm sure, is obviously a crowd favourite, and then Kyalami. So that's the South African Grand Prix, which is meant to be arriving at some point. There were some rumours going around that Formula 1 wants to cover like every continent they reasonably can outside of Antarctica, so they probably will try and have a Kyalami Grand Prix in the future. Not sure if it's ready though. So yeah, maybe Istanbul, or more likely option here is Portimao that isn't even on the list that Jarno gives. So tweet your thoughts on that in the comment section below. Let's talk Mercedes then. Going into the new season, they are increasingly confident, it seems, that they're going to get it right with their car design this year. And also I thought some interesting statements coming out from Toto Wolff, such as the following: it's really difficult in sports, and Toto, I'm sure, knows this better than anyone after the past season, to stay on top, right? Getting to the top is one thing, staying there is an entirely different thing. Toto Wolff has said in the past that, you know, he's studied, you know, Sir Alex Ferguson and manager of Manchester United and Aberdeen before that in the football world to determine how did he stay on top so consistently for so long. And in fairness, you know, complacency, when you win 8 constructors titles in a row, probably quite difficult to ensure the organisation is appropriately energised compared to a team like Red Bull. They've been fighting back for the entire turbo hybrid era. So as Toto Wolff said, I'm 100% sure that this difficult year was necessary for us to re-energise the organisation. That's the thing. If they'd have had a dominant car this year, within too long that's going to collapse, right? So every few years you probably need a bit of a reality check to kind of rev up the engine within that camp again, which is probably what has happened, and we have some evidence for that obviously with their performances in Brazil and the like, in terms of the way the car was set up and delivering on that particular circuit. One other advantage Mercedes have is they probably have the best driver pairing. There's obviously a debate about that, you know, between, you could argue Red Bull, but Ferrari and Mercedes, I think, definitely in the conversation. But, you know, there's the drama with Perez and Verstappen, and there's also potential issues with, now that Dietrich Mateschitz has passed away from the Red Bull side, you know, what does that mean for the Red Bull management? Will it have the same approach going forwards? There's been some concerns raised about Red Bull from that side, and also their driver pairing is definitely, well, a point of contention, let's say, going into the new season. Not really the case for Mercedes, like they seem to be kind of that entire team on the same page, and Ferrari are just a shambles. They don't even have a team principal, so and you know, even once they do have a team principal, when they bring in their new technical director as well, like there's a lot for Ferrari to catch up on. So yeah, Mercedes definitely have a few things falling in their favour, but this season Hamilton's one chance probably of winning a Grand Prix was probably in Brazil. There was other chances he had, but none of them were great chances. The Red Bulls were almost always faster on those weekends, or the Ferraris in the case of back at Silverstone, but he might have been able to win if the safety car didn't come out, this type of stuff. But the real chance was in Brazil, where it was a 1-2, and without the collision early on with Verstappen, could very easily have gone the other way around. Now, Hamilton talks about Verstappen and all the drama they've had over the past couple of seasons. You know, not many collisions or on-track battles between the two of them until that moment in Brazil. And, you know, Hamilton was having this interview with Channel 4 a few days ago where he talks about this and says that, you know, for some drivers, namely Max Verstappen, he is the target in their eyes. They want to show it, you know, try and push you around a bit to try and put themselves next to that benchmark of success.
You described yourself as a target in Max's eyes. Can you expand on that for us?
I feel like that's pretty self-explanatory. I mean, I think all you have to do is listen to the words that certain individuals say about me, competitor-wise, and then also just look back at the way those individuals behave on track around me. It kind of shows you that it's most often a little bit different to others, and I can't explain fully exactly why, but it's part of it's I'm sure to do with the time that I've had here, the experience I've had here, the success I've had here. I would say I know, because I remember when I got to the sport, that target was someone else who had the success, and my goal was to challenge them, and you almost wanted to show how tough you were, you always wanted to show how good you were compared to that person, etc, etc. So
this is always a debate that comes up, right? Especially because in this past season, Hamilton had way more on-track collisions with drivers than Verstappen did. You can well argue that that might have been because Verstappen was often driving around near the front of the grid, and when he was fighting through, those fights weren't really, held up too much, right? Around Spa, for example, the drivers weren't really going to defend because he had by far the quicker car, and there wasn't really a fight on there for the drivers. So, you can always look at that. And last season, there's always the debate as, who was more at fault. For certain instances, it goes either way. Verstappen towards the end of the year did some outrageous stuff, but then you look at Silverstone, right? So, there's of course all that drama that, hopefully is behind us to a certain extent. But is Hamilton right that certain drivers, basically in Verstappen's eyes, he's a target, that, he behaves differently around Hamilton? I think that probably is true based on what we've seen, that when Verstappen's next to Hamilton, it does seem like he races differently compared to against other drivers, and Hamilton has his reasons as to why. The other explanation, though, which I thought was quite interesting here, was what we might expect going forward. It's, of course, the collision back at Brazil, back in Sao Paulo, which pretty much ended Hamilton's chance of really competing for the win. He had to fight back through the field from 8th position. When he did get up to 2nd again, he had a big gap to the car in front in George. And then when the safety car came out, he had a chance, but he was losing a 10th or 2 a second per lap based on the damage that he incurred in this pretty hefty collision with Max at the start of the race. This was Hamilton's statement on it. I'm sure we will grow. Both sides will grow and improve, hopefully, so we don't have experiences like we did in the last race in Sao Paulo, but I wouldn't hold your breath. So quite interesting, really, because he's basically saying, yeah, we both need to improve in our wheel-to-wheel racing, or, whatever, but, don't expect this to actually happen. So either he's saying that he himself is not really going to budge or do anything, because this was a very interesting incident in that, you can argue who was at fault. Verstappen obviously got the penalty for this. I would say Verstappen's line here was, realistically way too aggressive for this corner, and Hamilton was ahead going into this turn 2 as it was, and Verstappen sent it down the inside. But Hamilton was like not going to give the space, and I wonder if that was like, Hamilton just saying that, look, we've had a long season here, you've been dominating the season, but, I'm not going away anytime soon. I'm still here, I'm not going to give you the space. If we collide, we collide. And Verstappen had the same idea, right? Verstappen said after the race, I went around the outside and immediately felt he wasn't going to leave the room, so I just went for it, right? So he basically admitted here after the race that he has arguably deliberately caused this contact, because he says that he knew that Hamilton wasn't going to yield, but yet he went for it anyway, just to, kind of show that he's still there as well. I don't really know. It just seems like when these two guys are next to each other, you just get moments like this, maybe due to mindsets like this. So is Hamilton right to say that they should change their approach when racing wheel to wheel, or is he also right to say that more than likely that's not going to be the case and nothing's going to change? He might say that he himself is perfectly happy to change, but he's not holding his breath for Verstappen to change the way he drives either. Interesting, really, because Verstappen this season, for the majority of the year, facing the likes of Leclerc, was usually very clean with his racing, and then, you get one instant with Hamilton, all of a sudden it looks like this. So yeah, obviously there's going to be debates on both sides of that argument. Quick comment as well from Hamilton, actually, because he was asked in the interview, was this his hardest year? And he said by far nowhere near the hardest year. Like, he reckons there was a year prior, probably in the early days, I don't know, 2009, or not exactly sure when, in that kind of period, I suppose, when Hamilton, from a personal perspective, was also having a tricky time. He says that it will come out eventually in his book or documentary, so I guess we'll have to stay tuned for that one. The other thing that he mentioned there was, it was actually in that clip I showed earlier, but I haven't talked about it yet, was that he's actually been keeping up with the drama on this, which I thought was quite entertaining, because you guys might know, after the whole Brazil drama between Perez and Verstappen, when apparently Verstappen's mother had stated in the past that she believes that Perez not only cheated potentially by crashing deliberately in Monaco, but also cheated on his wife. And this is what Hamilton talks about here. He says, there was someone's mother posting something And this is that quote, and I don't know when this was posted. I don't know if it was posted actually after Brazil in consequence for the drama, or whether this was a quote that's from ages ago now. But yeah, there's some rumours, and clearly Sophie, right, Verstappen's mother, believes that Perez may have been, let's just say, unfaithful to his wife. There was some party in Monaco. I don't know. It's all rumours and speculation. But yeah, the fact that she tweeted this now, Hamilton's seen it and is talking about it to kind of, you know, stir up a bit of fun, right? It's I don't know, I find it pretty entertaining, to be honest. But the drama is certainly not slowing down or going anywhere ahead of the upcoming season. Quick note from Ross Brawn quickly, because yesterday we saw that the reverse DRS idea might be coming into effect. Now, we talked about reverse DRS, whether they implement it, if they are going to implement it in the way that we discussed yesterday, as in if a car gets too far ahead, they start to lose downforce, or whether there's a better approach, as in instead of having DRS as an option, you simply remove DRS and then you allow the car behind to generate extra downforce. And maybe that's the way to do it, because if you're reducing downforce off the car in front to slow them down, like that creates danger if that car takes a corner too quickly than it can with the downforce level it has. So maybe it's better for the car behind to get some extra downforce, and you know, maybe that's a way to do it. I don't know, but still, maybe that's an interesting way to eliminate the need for DRS. Like if it works well, then maybe you don't need DRS at all. If the car behind can gain some extra downforce via active aero, then maybe you can you know, eliminate the need for DRS, because then cars can follow closer. I don't know, but it's an option at least. Now, Ross Brawn actually mentions here that they should try and make DRS less powerful next year. I think we certainly see at certain circuits, like Spa, for example, that like DRS is almost not necessary at Spa. I think they should for sure remove it on the main straights, because it's kind of pointless, or the start-finish straights, and then the Kemmel straights, probably it should be a shorter window, right? Because you get such a great slipstream at Spa all the way down the run after turn 1, through Eau Rouge, up Raidillon, and then, you know, round to the Kemmel straight. You get that slipstream all the way. So, you know, an additional DRS, you barely need it, to be honest. And when you do have it, it makes the passes at times way too easy. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think about that, but I think for certain circuits, they do need to consider changing the DRS zones next year, because sometimes they were rather too good. But very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.